It's a very useful discussion all the way around various energy sources. In every case, all of these energy sources are subsidized in one way or another by federal tax money, either directly or indirectly. Oil, gas industry, much discussed the subsidies that they receive there. Similarly, the solar, wind, and other green technology companies. Those are extremely important, particularly in the development of the new technologies. The issues that was raised by Ms. Gordon about infrastructure, the development versus a mature industry and a new industry. My point is to point that out, but more importantly to go to what those subsidies can do in addition to their present point. And that is, it seems to me that American taxpayer dollars ought to be used to support American taxpayer industries. The oil and gas industry uses machinery, rigs, and platforms that are manufactured offshore, yet they receive significant taxpayer subsidies, both directly and indirectly. I don't believe there's any royalties coming from deep water Gulf production. That's a subsidy too. So shouldn't those be made in America? Similarly, the wind and solar industry receiving significant taxpayer subsidies. Should not those panels and other nacelles and towers and the like be made in America? It seems to me they should be. Any industry that receives American taxpayer money should be buying American-made products. In other words, make it in America. I was interested in your report, Mr. Kahn, about the balance of trade with China. I note that there are two exports that the United States has. One is equipment used to manufacture panels offshore in the solar industry, and the other is the raw material. We've essentially become a supplier of raw material and equipment. The equipment is not going to go on forever, I suspect. But the panels come back. And in that, if you were to eliminate the raw material that goes to China and the equipment made that we produce to make those panels in China, this balance of trade thing would be completely reversed. My point here is make it in America, using our taxpayer dollars to purchase American-made equipment in every one of your sectors. Comments about the appropriateness of that from all the panels, beginning with Ms. Gordon and coming this direction.
I think it's a really important point. We, as I said, we're lucky in that 26% of the current jobs in the clean energy industries are manufacturing jobs, and they're domestic manufacturing. The 48C program was heavily oversubscribed to make components here in America. I would argue that we have, right now, we're still on the edge of having a good position to be able to do that. We have a lot of innovation here. When President Hu came to visit, he brought 150 people with him to go to the national labs to find innovations in energy, because we have that edge. But we are losing that edge, especially as these products become mass marketed and they need to be close to high sources of demand. As long as we don't have demand here, we're going to have a hard time making stuff here.
Yeah, I agree to a large extent. I think that, you know, if you look at the solar trade balance with China, it does tell us that right now we are still manufacturing in the U.S., even if it is manufacturing things like capital equipment and feedstock, which, by the way, the capital equipment, there's a lot of IP in that, and that's actually where I think there will be innovation and where we can continue to lead. We can also continue to lead in the other steps of the value chain that we see China dominant now, and that's why I think, following up on what Ms. Gordon said, we need to be investing in the innovation portion of development.
Yes, as our study found, we followed the supply networks for the offshore through the entire country. This is one of the things that really struck us as we did our analysis, was how profound these impacts are throughout the country. We used some of our proprietary databases which follow manufacturing and services goods from state to state throughout this entire country. And the thing that we found was that there was a significant multiplier within this industry, specifically because this industry does overwhelmingly spend the dollars here domestically.
I would say that the U.S. leads the world in onshore oil and gas exploration and production, so much of the creativity and innovation is happening here in the U.S. The offshore sector is somewhat different, and it requires huge, very expensive pieces of infrastructure that probably are sourced at a lower price elsewhere in the world right now.
I'll just wrap up with this. It seems to me that if we're subsidizing, as we do, all of the energy industry, that our tax dollars ought to be used to purchase American-made equipment, to rebuild our manufacturing base in America in every way possible. To that effect, there happens to be 2 pieces of legislation introduced by me that would cause that to happen. I'd love to have the support of all of the energy industry in that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.